Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I am back with another replay that I took from the front page of Drop.sc. And, of course, what caught my attention the most about this replay was simply given the fact that both of our players are in GM League. I know nothing about them specifically whatsoever, but in the lower left-hand corner, spawning as our red Protoss, his name is simply progamer, SCBGC. I'm not sure what that stands for. And in the upper right-hand corner, spawning as our blue Terran, giving out the good luck, have fun. His name is CreamCake, and he belongs to BX3. Alright, so, map we're on today is going to be Derelict Watcher, TE. There's lots of wide open spaces that you may not want to engage your opponent in directly. But there are some other little tiny choke points here and there, but overall I'd say this is one of those wide open-ish kind of maps. And in the TVP matchup, I'd say that Phoenix Colossi in this map would actually be rather strong. But from it, whoa, this is interesting. We already have progamer saving Chrono Boost. Okay, just as I say that, he spends it. Of course, at this stage, there's really nothing else you can spend your Chrono Boost on, aside from probes. Now, for the time being, it seems like CreamCake is going to be going with something that I like to call the Korean style 111. I call this Korean style because typically they'll do a triple supply depot wall off and try to keep their tech a secret until, say, maybe the 6-minute mark, when it becomes basically revealed at that point. And we already have the first gas on the way. This could be a Reaper opening. I think once we have 50 gas on that refinery, we're going to see a Reaper in the makes on CreamCake's barracks there. And it looks like my Alt button got stuck. That's why I'm not following this SCV. There we go. I just hit Alt again, and we're good to go. Let's see why this keyboard I'm using is so buggy, but to each their own. Double gas before Cybernetics Core. This typically is going to be something along the lines of a Sentry Expo. Gonna need the force fields to keep your natural safe, but it looks like we're gonna have the natural, speaking of, being somewhat delayed, and then the Reaper is gonna be exploited to hop around the main, and progamer looks like he's got virtually no interest in checking the natural just yet, so I'm a little curious to see just what that's all about. I was just alt-tabbing there to check and make sure everything was correct with my XSplit. And by the way, I'm hoping that the headset that I'm about to get in the mail is actually going to finally get rid of that background humming noise that you guys can hear. That's actually my computer's liquid cooler that's going right now. And the SCV goes in and sees everything, basically. And you can also see that progamer is saving Chrono Boost for something that he can't quite allocate just yet. This is the bigger part. Progamer doesn't know that his natural has been blocked. Maybe he does somehow deep down on the inside. After all, he is Grandmasters. And our Reaper here was just doing some defensive scouting, making sure there's no, say, proxy oracles going down or anything like that. And, trying to think here, what could we possibly see coming out of progamer now? I mean, simply given what we see so far, and of course the second Reaper did some, just one Reaper. Alright. But this is an interesting choice coming from progamer, and I like it too. He's meaning to hide his tech right here, if you will. But all we have to see from CreamCake is really throw that Reaper into the main, and he'll see everything. And that's one reason why we have the Mothership Core just kind of not there right now. It's actually hovering over here at the natural, and these two Reapers these two Stalkers forbid the Reaper from knowing, but I think CreamCake should know what this is, because I remember reading a short Protoss guide on, I think it was a 3-8 Blink Stalker all-in. You're supposed to use the Mothership Core essentially to, to basically scout for your Stalkers, give them vision of high ground that they can leap onto, and so on and so forth. And so far, I mean, the opener that I saw basically dictated that you don't need to have any zealots cranked out. Instead, you don't even need to scout whatsoever. But this is all depending on, say, progamer hitting that right timing. But I think CreamCake basically read into this correctly, and he just went with a straight-up bio transition. He's going to have the ability to crank out double Marauders if he so pleases, and if he does it correctly. In fact, he takes a second gas, and it's finishing up right now, as you all can see. Excuse me. And Progamer's forward probe now moving out, getting ready to find that position to throw down the forward pylon. And the SCV seeing, okay, is there like, did he skip the natural and throw it down at the third? That kind of thing. But now we have all three, well, not all three, but okay. We got 3 warp gates here and a 4th one on the way. SCV gets shut down just as it enters the natural, but I don't know if our Terran saw that or not. In fact, right now he throws down a scan. He's completely blind, and I think he realizes, oh snap, all of his tech was over there. But you know, essentially what he hasn't scouted yet is a Robobay, a Stargate. So by logical deduction, simply given the fact that he's seen those 2 stalkers already, he should know what's coming at him. In fact, he's got Marauders on the high ground, just between the natural and the main, but the bunker, I don't know about that. I mean, jeez, it's a little hard to say. The Marauders are the most valuable unit that CreamCake can have right now, not because of concussive shells, but simply given the fact that they pack such a punch versus the Stalkers. And the Stalker count, excuse me, is actually getting a little bit high, but 3 Marauders, I think, if microed correctly, should be able to work wonders against this. But Stim, combat shields, they're not ready yet. They won't be ready for another 60 seconds, and that is the window of opportunity that we see Progamer with to do a lot of damage, and he's a little bit hesitant to jump in just yet. And I think what we have, simply given the fact that he's warping in sentries right now, I think his main idea is to just attack the front. It looks like it may work. I mean, he's got nothing on the low ground except for this one bunker. There we go, the aggressive blink. Just as they get the vision, the force fields go down, and the bunker falls. This means that everything at the natural right now is essentially forfeit. And the Stalkers are now targeting down that natural orbital command. And all these SCVs are just so vulnerable right here. They're going to be shut down one by one. And this is at very little cost to Progamer with all the damage that he's doing right now. There are a lot of Marauders in the main, yes. And all the SCVs get toasted here along with that one mule. But at the same time, CreamCake, I mean, if he can just somehow manage to smash this army with the low Marauder count that he has right now, he might be in an okay, if not somewhat recoverable position, excuse me. And Progamer's looking like maybe for the time being he's going to try and pull back. That would be the safest option right now, given the amount of damage that he's done. Just fall back, tech up. Transitions that are viable from here on out would basically be more than likely would be Colossus. He might be tempted to go with some Psy Storm High Templar, simply given the fact that his opponent has very few medevacs so far. But I think this could be just a little bit of an overcommitment by our red Protoss here. And of course he has so much vision on the high ground. He's just basically containing his opponent and macroing up behind this, which is a really smart idea, because once he comes back with once he goes back home and rebuilds his army, like builds it up even more, it's just gonna be so much stronger. And now going into the main, he's trying to get some pickoffs here and there. It looks like he's gonna get maybe one Marauder. No, the stim goes, and we see CreamCake really show his fangs in all of this. But he has to stim so carefully because he has only just got 1 medevac out on the field right now. I think he only has 1 medevac production on the number of bases that he has right now. 2 Stalkers poke up, and I think Progamer is essentially seeing that he's facing up against a very, very dangerous composition with almost as many Marauders as there are Stalkers right now. And the force field goes down. He's trying to get pickoffs here and there. He has to contain this very, very carefully and be very just overall diligent, not trying to poke up into the main, not wanting to overtly, super aggressively extend into there. And I think the number of Marauders that we have on the ground right now would be enough to deal with this. And CreamCake is looking like he's going to try and return some damage. He does, after all, have a higher unit count than his opponent. Is a higher army count, if you will. But what I really like about this move from CreamCake is like, okay, or excuse me, not CreamCake, but Progamer, he's like, okay, that guy had a lot of Marauders. I have to play this out a little bit safer, so I'm just going to recall back home and try and rebuild my army from there. Beyond that, the transition seems to be double forge. I approve of this, but the only problem with this is that you know, getting out those upgrades much faster is just going to result in a stunted army growth, if you will. Scan goes down, and CreamCake can see just what he's facing up against. Lots of Stalkers, which get very little buffs versus the Marauders on the ground. The Marines, the Marines are a staple unit. Everybody has them, unless they're meching. CreamCake's Marine there in the third, just making sure there is no third base going down, and he reestablishes his natural, his economy now skyrocketing just a little bit. So he's trying to contain his opponent. He doesn't want to engage up that ramp because, of course, we could see a time warp. No, you wouldn't need to see a time warp per se, but we definitely would see a lot of force fields that would divide that army, chop it up. The 3 Immortals would go to town on all the Marauders that stepped above that ramp. And the Mothership Core, I think, in its wise position, would definitely go for the Photon Overcharge on the natural. So that's the main reason why we don't see CreamCake poking up just yet. He's just making sure that his opponent doesn't move out. He's establishing a concave, just doing all the stuff that he needs to do. He's also getting +1 armor in the background. And CreamCake, excuse me, progamer is actually getting Zealot legs, and he's chronoing out double upgrades. Just as he chronoed the second forge, it looks like, excuse me. Just as he chronoed the second forge, one of his upgrades finished up, and he's going to be converting to Colossi very soon. As you can see, the first one has just entered the battlefield. There is no extended thermal lance just yet. And we are waiting to see the rest of this game develop, essentially. So, one thing that I have to highlight right now, the big danger for CreamCake, is that he doesn't have anything to deal with Colossi just yet. He is getting the first few Vikings out on the battlefield right now. But of course, for the time being, it's just medevacs. So this is kind of building up to be a kind of stale game, if you will. I wouldn't say like stalemate, but kind of just a little bit boring. I mean, both players containing each other. First, we saw a contain by progamer at his opponent's natural, then we saw a contain. We see a contain now going down by CreamCake on progamer's natural. Now, the one advantage that I do want to say that CreamCake has uncontestably would be the concave that he's got going, and of course all the stacked bio that he's got here. But beyond that, I mean, the one other unit that I think he could get in the game eventually that'll help him out is Ghosts, but you can't really afford that on just 2 base production. The natural's oversaturated for progamer, which means he's got the intentions of taking a third very soon. Templar Archive's going down in the background, and so far we have the late stages of this game kind of developing. It looks like a Stalker came over here and picked off a Marine. There was no intention of building a base there. Stalker blinks back into the main just as a Marauder goes down to see what all that commotion was about. He's like, hey, where's Johnny? And the Zerg music giving us some thrill to this TVP. But High Templar coming into the mix as well, but they're just going to make Archons, which are basically going to be psionic tanks, and a bunch of armored piranhas on the ground in the form of Zealots. Guardian Shield goes up. Hallucinated Phoenix about to go out, and I'm wondering just how confident does progamer feel about moving out right now. I mean, I think personally it's now or never. He is essentially contained. Scan goes down on top of all the Colossi, so maybe, just maybe, our Terran knows which ones are hallucinations and which ones are not. The force field is going down in beautiful fashion, and the Vikings are getting their pickoffs as they should appropriately. It looks like Hallucinated Phoenix coming into the mix, but of course it makes almost no difference, and all the bio here is kind of melting while the Colossi are struggling to melt the rest of them without dying. It looks like progamer is going to be able to hold this. Yes, the Zealots come in and clean up the mess. The Vikings basically useless against all these Zealots on the ground. The Archons chasing down all the flying units. These Zealots are about to get their charge underway. They're going to charge and chase everything back home from CreamCake. Now, the only problem that I really see from CreamCake is that he didn't try to tech up to the third base, and that means he didn't have enough economy to get Ghosts into the mix. He's throwing down bunkers right now, and I think that might be an okay solution to what he sees right here, because of course nothing can outrange those bunkers. But the High Templar in the background, okay, they're turning into Archons. Of course, Psionic Storm has not been researched just yet. Third base going down by progamer, and that's going to put him ahead economically. I mean, like, think about it. He was the first one to contain. But I like this move coming from CreamCake. He might be able to shut down that third base. This could very much so bring him back into this game. In fact, the Vikings have landed just... I mean, he's so desperate at this point that the Vikings have landed to assist whatever units are going to come at him at the front lines here. CreamCake does not... Okay, his army supply is manageable versus what we have from our Protoss player. But at the same time, our Protoss player is +3, +2. His +3 is on the way, and his +1 Protoss shields are also on the way, which means he might have the intentions of converting to Sky Toss. Oh, man. Wow, that drop was shut down, and now progamer, even though he has a lower supply, or even-ish supply, he's going to have superior upgrades. Look at this. We only have +1/+1 for our Terran. Scan going down on top of all the bunkers. No observer rubble on the ground, so that means there was nothing observing, if you will. No invisible observers, no invisible eyes looking at his pants, if you will, that have just fallen off. And CreamCake is now in a position where he can't move out. So this is one of those classic tug-of-war scenarios, guys. Something you rarely see, and now CreamCake is forced to do something that a lot of Terran players would be very reluctant to do, and that's throwing down the Ghost Academy on 2 base when Psionic Storm is not really being implemented just yet. And just as I say that, it's actually being researched. Main's going dry for both players. Of course, it's just been mine dry. The last patch has disappeared, and it looks like the entire main army of pro gamers is turning around. But that medevac, nothing was inside of it. I wonder if that was a mistake by CreamCake, or if he was trying to get his opponent to turn his head around and just go the other way. But you know, nothing's really going in favor of our Terran right now. I mean, I hate to say it, he's pulling SCVs. That might help him out a little bit, but the first few ghosts have not entered the battlefield just yet. I haven't seen Mobius Reactor getting researched, which means no ghost energy, which means the ghosts that do hit the production line, if any, are not going to have enough energy for shields, and then all the SCVs are gone right now. So that means basically the Marines that we have in the queue right now is all that we're going to see, I think. And the Storms, it's all that matters, the Storms. Like, this is a huge opportunity, and oh, no Storm, just feedback coming from that one High Templar to the south, and to the rest of the medevacs in the sky. They are falling one by one. A beautiful Storm from the north. That one High Templar now fusing with another one to become an Archon, and the Zealots just absolutely tearing this bio army apart. 24 supply to 146. I think it's obvious that CreamCake knows that his life in this game is over. And with that, I will upload this to YouTube. Okay, so if you guys liked what you saw here today, just go ahead and click on that subscribe button, show your friends, and everything else in between. This is Breaker. I'll see you guys next time.